Tristan,
Hey.
hey. So we don't technically have any more audience questions, although if anyone in stream still has something for that you want to ask both of them, please feel free to drop them. Otherwise, my personal favorite right now is obviously what was the migration to Bevy 16 like, if you've already done it, and what kind of most interesting features do you see, or are you looking forward to adopt as soon as you have? Tristan, do you want to start?
Yes, I can go. I have migrated already to 16, and it was by far, I think, the easiest for me. Not so much that was backward incompatible. I think the hardest was the last 15 to me. But no, it was really pleasant, and the feature I'm looking forward to use is relations, obviously, because I have my own system right now, which relies on a resource. Like my source of truth is a resource, and I give it an entity and the name of a relation, and it gives me back all the entities that are related, and it has some stuff like you can configure it to auto despawn related children and stuff like that. So it's the same as what 16 introduced, but done less. It's not it's best. What Bevy did is best. So I will migrate at one point.
Yeah, it's best. TM. Nice. Okay. I'm curious to hear your experience with that, like migrating that. Is that like a single relations pattern, or do you have different types of relations like that?
It's mostly one-to-one and one-to-many. So exactly the use case of the 16 version.
Yeah, although one-to-one, I mean, you're just going to use the one-to-many and restrict it so that they can only have the or did it have one-to-one? I probably missed that.
It's one-to-one. It got sneaked in. It got sneaked in. If I remember well.
Nice. Okay, I didn't even realize. Cool. I gotta make
it's a subset of the one-to-many, so it's easy.
Yeah. JP, how old are you?
We have not migrated. I think probably we won't before release because, yeah. Entity relationships, like hierarchy relationships, are definitely a pain point for us. A big part of like how we do the scene stuff is we sort of assume a 1080p framework, or we let the scene file define what sort of screen size it expects and then scales everything. And we can have multiple scenes loaded additively. So certain scenes can be like, well, I wanted a 1080p screen and I wanted a 720p screen. So you need to traverse the hierarchy to see which canvas you are actually part of. And so doing that is annoying with like ancestor iterators and stuff like that. It would be nice to have slightly cleaner relationship systems like that. But yeah, I don't see any like pressing reason to go to 0.16. And to be honest, like a few weeks before our launch is a bad time to migrate.
No, of course.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I'm not sure the traversal of parent-child hierarchies is actually substantially changed. I think the biggest change is that you can have custom relationships that work in that similar fashion. I don't think that's iterating like parent descendants or whatever is much change there. But yeah, I certainly enjoy mostly to have, if you work a lot with children hierarchies, it might still be interesting to look into the updated spawn mechanics that makes spawning a lot like convoluted hierarchies, definitely way less verbose in code. So that could be interesting. But I obviously totally get it. Like shortly before release, that might be too much of a burden without getting like actual substantial reward for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the other big one that I usually am interested to hear in is like, what's the biggest thing that if you had a magic wand that you would change? I mean, there's some hints in the slides that we've seen so far, but I would like to have you basically pick out the one big one. what would you say, JP, is the one for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I think, and this will be controversial, but I think I would change Bevy to be parallelism as a feature. I know that's heresy. I know, but I think getting people, if Bevy wants to say, hey, we're refreshingly simple, come to us, come check it out. I think you need to start people off sort of in the arena of performance is an afterthought, and getting people on something that works and works the way that they mentally model it and expect it to is a priority over let's have this crazy hyper efficient system that can parallelize, from the start. That's my thought.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right? If you're not really benefiting from those aspects, then why do you want to pay for it?
Yeah.
And maybe there's actually some merit to this multi-threading feature. Like maybe it's like a boom. Suddenly it becomes send free.
I don't know. It is great. Obviously, it works very well, and I think it's a major a technical achievement. I'm really impressed by it. I just don't know if that is the thing that people should see when they first start a Bevy project.
Yeah, gotcha. Tristan, what about you? Imagine you had a magic wand.
I'm thinking about this topic about multi-threading. It was really, for me, it was something important when I learned about the engine. So maybe if it's turned off, it's still to me a kind of a selling point. Like for the kind of game I'm making, the time of a frame is really short, so you want to use the maximum power available. So, but so for the magic wand, the thing I would change is the UI, like I said in my slides. It is usable. UI or Bevy UI are both usable, but it's at the moment it requires too much. It introduces too much technical problems that stays on your mind. It's too much. Too much is put in your way. I don't want to fight the borrow checker because I'm busy designing a UI, like how it looks. Is it intuitive? It's like higher level problems than technical ones. So my first need when I write my UI, my system is like I just want something that works. It's okay if it's not efficient or performant, but I want it to work, to test it with the players, and if it's okay, then I'll think more technically about it. And it's
but is that different if you like from what you see in Bevy UI? Do you think it would be different if you now would have done it, redo it in Bevy UI in the magic world where you had the time for that?
Oh yeah, I kind of see yes the interest because I don't remember the versions, but they introduced a lot of what I needed, like a flexbox and shadows, over more control on overflow and the way it overflows, like scrolling. All of that stuff. And I saw also in a Meetup Bevy HUUI by Lomi. It's his nickname. And it's like I wanted that. And on one moment I thought I could rewrite all of my UI using this. It's that I need.
Yeah, that's tempting, huh? Okay, but that sort of means that you would use the magic wand to migrate your shit to Bevy UI. So let's take one step back in like the magic wand for a change in Bevy that you would like to do if you had one.
Oh, difficult one. I'm not sure I have an idea. Like it would be the editor. It will be to have an editor, if I can wave my wand and tomorrow there is something new with Bevy, it will be an editor. But it will be an editor that is kind of a Lego one. Like you build your own editor with it. It's like a kind of helpers, a set of tools that are lower level helpers, and maybe provide one default editor for when you get started, but also have possibility to take what you need on the shelf. Yeah.
Yeah, to like modify and extend. That's I mean that was one of the big features for me when I looked at Unity for the first time, right? Like, wait, I can just drop this C# code and I'm immediately seeing that thing in my editor and I can use that. That's pretty strong, right? That's probably what you're referring to. Yeah. Yeah, I can totally see that. Okay, cool.
So very original, I guess.
Yeah, well, actually, was it the first? Yeah, probably. It's a good question, actually, where they got that from. So, do you have any questions to that you think could be interesting about the other project that you thought when you saw the presentation from each other?
Yeah, I have one for GP. Because I'm a solo dev, I don't know what it's like to work in a team using Bevy, and how it has an impact on your workflow. Like when you're multiple developer working on it at the same time, how is the work split?
Yeah, so I was very lucky in that team members wanted to like help co-develop this engine, and not in the sense that they wrote any Rust code, but they wanted to shape what their experience looked like. So yeah, I think like a lot of things that are happening in terms of Bevy, I think a lot of people are like yourself. They're working solo, or it's very small teams. And I think that the approach that's taken usually is gameplay in the Rust code, UI in the Rust code, all this stuff that you're talking about is very familiar to me. It's how I did a lot of projects. And I think that doesn't scale because a lot of people don't know Rust. A lot of people don't know Bevy. That's a very specific talent set. And a lot of people who are very talented at UX or writing or whatever, they're not going to have time to learn that. So what, to answer your question a little bit more concretely, I think the point is that I spent a lot of my time in Rust being like, okay, how do I make a system that's going to take what they like data from them and build the game that way? I'm not building the game. I am building the game, but I'm not doing what I used to do, which is to actually like code in mechanics or anything like that. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set up a system. And so what we had for example, with Kiana, she would be recreating some of these screens, and she would say like, hey, I really need to be able to like do what we just mentioned, actually flex layout, which was a super awesome thing that got added to Bevy. Because I need to be able to have like an arbitrary number of buttons coming in and coming down, or like we have a phone, like a cell phone interface that comes up with an arbitrary number of messages. So for me, it's like, okay, how do I expose that in a JSON file to Kiana so that she can easily like be like, hey, here's the template, and then your code needs to take the template and do stuff with it when the actual like ink data comes in. So there's a lot of like you're connecting pipes, and that's your job, and to try and make it so that these various team members can work without you. That's the goal. That's the goal, is that you want them to be able to do as much as possible without you in the pipeline, if that's a practical thing. And it worked very well. I will say, and I have to admit this, unfortunately, we did downsize a lot. So we're down to 3 people. So it is way less of a priority than it was when in January, February. So we had 7 people, I think, around that time was our core staff. So for now, it's going to be less focused on that, but definitely we saw promise in that sort of way of developing, and we saw lots of times where it was like UX person would develop a UI, writer would say, okay, I'm calling your UI at this point in the story. It would load up, and they could, between the two of them, just work that out, and they could save and reload the game really fast, and it would be nice iteration without me involved.
Nice. So the answer is basically collaborating on a Bevy Rust project. Essentially, don't outsource the stuff that other people are supposed to touch.
Yes, I mean, in a way, when you're working on Bevy and you're working on any project, you're working with thousands of other developers, right? Because you are working with bunch of other talented developers in Rust who are moving the API underneath you, and they're making crates and they're making all these other cool stuff. I mean, both of you are doing exactly that. So yeah, I think my point is basically like teams.
Of course, I was just obviously.
Oh yeah. I think my point is more to like availability of Rust talent, right?
Yeah,
which is not common. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
yeah.
I would have assumed that everyone is on his or her own crate. Like, okay, you take this crate and I take this one, and we meet up every week for what is public and the interface between those crates.
Yeah, I like
that would be a perfect world, right? Yeah. But one other thing that crossed my mind when you talked about these specific screen ratios that you've built this for, like what's the vision that you have to get this on mobile then? Because then you are like that's gonna fall like really on its face, right? To have everything for 1080p.
Yeah, well, it's an approach we've done before. And in Unity, obviously we would target 1080p, but then we would anchor stuff to various corners of the screen. So if it does get ultra wide or super narrow or whatever, like Curse Cafe, I think it supports technically like square screens all the way to ultra wide. Doesn't support portrait mode, but yeah. I think.
Okay, so you're basically aiming for landscape, and then it's gonna more or less scale into the right box.
Yeah, and like I said, we're a small company. And I just don't think that it's practical to expect a small company to do like super responsive design for video games in this current climate.
Yeah.
Especially with the depth of content, like there's like tons of our time and effort goes into writing, and a not insignificant part goes into art. And so the rest of that being like, okay, UX and programming is a very small fraction of the amount of time that we have. So we do try to make it work. We try our best. We try it on a bunch of different screen ratios. And if it looks really bad, we try and like letterbox it or whatever. But
yeah, makes sense. And is web a consideration for any one of you?
No.
Sorry. Tristan?
Sorry?
Is web or /WebAssembly any consideration for you as a target?
No, not at all. I'm targeting PC only for now. Maybe I'll try a Steam Deck build, but before that, I need the game to be successful on PC and before porting. Considering even the need to port it.
Yeah,
because it's a wild ecosystem. Yes, as you said.
Yeah, so you're gonna aim for all platforms that Steam supports, or just like Windows, or what's the plan?
For now, it's just Windows. But today I was tracking a memory leak, and I just got a Linux build working really easily. So might get a Linux build in the end.
Nice. I mean, then Steam Deck is pretty low-hanging fruit, right? It's more like the gamepad support that you would have to, oh my God, somehow squeeze into eGUI. I don't know. Does it, like, is there, that's probably very manual, right?
It will be an adventure. I don't know. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I did have a question, Tristan, if that's okay. Just about you have eGUI for, it looks like both the main games UI and your sort of editor UI. How do you like logically split those? Is there like a way to like have like we only use eGUI in a very hacky way for our like editor, so I'm kind of wondering how you like silo those two worlds, if you do at all.
Oh, okay. To split, I use different windows. Like all my debugging UI goes in separate windows. I have two of them, one for logging and one for the rest, and inspector and cheat codes and that kind of stuff. And it's a feature flag. Like when I build in release mode, all the debug code is skipped. when I build typically I do a cargo run and features. I have features called dev, and dev enables the editor and all some logging, monitoring, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm using the same EGUI for everything, but in production, like the final product, it's skipped with a feature flag.
Okay.
And all the theming, the look, the way it looks different is done with. I have a resource. I have a set of resources called that I call themes, and that do a boilerplate like manually calling the painter and drawing images, and things like 9slice is. I have my own solution for that, and I have put all of it in a resource and manually use it when I need it. I use the painter a lot. I have read more code about EGUI than I have for Bevy. I went more deep in EGUI.
That's crazy.
Solve my problems.
Maybe because you had to.
Yeah, because I had to.
Yeah.
It's I would gladly have stayed outside of it.
Yeah. Interesting. Tristan, is the speaking of EGUI, is the immediate mode nature of it? Is that a performance concern at all for you? Like, have you noticed any of that?
I have no comparison, so I can say if it's better or not. But it's not a concern right now. It's really fast. And as I said in the presentation, I use when I have a long computation, I use this dedicated component or resources that act as a cache. And as a former web developer, it's something I'm really used to. The caching mechanics. It's something you like what is a good key for a cache, so it gets refreshed enough. And it's like the problems I have solved for the past 15 years. So it felt very natural to go that way. Yeah.
Nice.
And I think that immediate mode skips some problems like how to sync stuff. Like, if you're not in immediate mode, how do you keep in sync your UI and the real state of the game?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, my theory, to be honest, because I've not built a heavy EGUI game logic yet. My theory is that it's easier than you think, because you have a different sort of trouble when dealing with this whole lifetime ownership trouble of passing down this context into the EGUI hierarchy, right? Versus in my experience, either the UI flat out reads in their like you have an update system and it flat out reads the queries that you need to get the state out and then pick the right elements of the UI that you need to update, right? Or you even have this sort of double buffered, I don't know, like specific components contain the information that you like precisely cater for the UI, so that you don't have to do like heavy computations more than you need, which boils down to this caching that you now have in your EGUI solution, I guess, right? But sometimes it can be more efficient if you have like a more precise component for what the UI needs, instead of having to read like these massive game relevant components that everything else is using.
I see. But I'm also seeing in the chat Michael saying how to keep them in sync. Use a trigger. Yes, it's my trademark.
Of course. How is that not the first?
I'm gonna file a complaint for infringement. And but the thing is that I use the cache very infrequently. It's really like cache is the exception. It's like I have 2, max 3 of them. But immediate mode will catch every update, and I don't have to think about it because I'm scanning the real world every frame. So for displaying it immediately, so there is no worry about, oh, did I forgot a trigger? Like, is there a trigger that is missing at this precise place? And each time I update something, I have thinking about which trigger I could send to update the UI is out of my mind.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's a trade between performance and ease of use.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, there is also just like change detection built into ECS that you could use for that same thing, right? Like, hey, this part is visualized in the UI, so I need to be notified when it changes, and then I immediately change the UI. But of course, that can lead to a lot of updates depending on how you, that sort of implies that your game logic changing those components has to somewhat have a idea of how the UI is going to be triggered from that, so that it doesn't escalate. Yeah.
It's a road I could have gone if I had a better understanding of Bevy when I start the project. And most problems I have is because I started Bevy and the project at the same time, so I made rookie mistakes, and I keep assuming them because I can't know it's too late. This project will stay globally with the same architecture, and all the upgrades will be for the next one, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Is there anything that we should bring up as a last comment or question? Do you have anything else left? Otherwise, I think we can conclude that here.
Just I had one question left. If you're okay.
Yeah, of course.
It's when you GP were talking about porting the game to mobile and console, and I was wondering, I've seen it as a common practice that you can hire contractors to do the porting to other platforms. Like if you have a successful game, you have the budget to do that. And is Bevy an obstacle to that, or are there some known companies that do that and will say, okay, we take your Bevy project and it will be on Xbox? Like,
I wish.
I don't know of any company that exists like that. So yeah, maybe there is. We haven't really gone looking, but I can tell you that they are going to be way less common than Unity porting teams.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even less common than Godot porting teams.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's we had the console topic before, right? It's a touchy thing. I think it really requires a successful title to really trailblaze for basically the rest of us. Not only a Bevy specific game, but a Rust specific game. To my knowledge, there's no Rust game on any console so far. And from the experience of other people that I talk to in the industry, it's less of a technical issue because you can just implement a renderer in Bevy yourself, no matter what the graphics API looks like that those proprietary vendors use. It's more going to be a compliance issue, like getting the sign off from the big Nintendo, PlayStation, and co. to really agree with whatever you require in terms of being able to compile to their targets, because I can assume that there is some really proprietary toolchain elements involved that might not ever have ever had to chew on the Rust build, and so there might be a lot of firsts that you have to encounter and solve.
I think that just to quickly touch on that, I think that there will be. I mean, we have access to those SDKs. I think most developers who have done console releases will have access to those SDKs, and they will have access to sort of the C and C++ SDK. And so there's maybe a world where you build out from Rust, you build a binary from Rust, and then you link it with a C library that there's some magic that you could do there, maybe to sort of slide it past Nintendo and be like, we made it in C. I don't know. I don't know how sneaky you have to be or how talented you'd have to be to pull that off. But I think there's a world where that exists.
Yeah.
We got a cool startup concept then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So That would be nice if you could try that out for us.
Jeez. We definitely need funding in that case. You know, I don't know. It's something that I definitely would love to sink my teeth into, but it's hard for us as a tiny visual novel studio to dig our teeth into. But yeah.
Well, it's time that this Bevy relaunch or rewrite will, going to be like a big rain of money to make all of that happen. Definitely looking forward to that. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here, and I'm excited to see the projects mature and be released, and happy to get early access and whatnot. I'm definitely interested to play, and just want to remind everyone, you put it out there, right? We can reach out if anyone wants to get access and likes to try the Bevy version. So hopefully people will do that and reach out to your various socials. And otherwise, really appreciate that you be here. I know this takes a lot of time, extra time to prepare these talks, so that's highly appreciated. I hope everyone in chat is gonna give you a big hand for that as well. I really enjoyed it, so thank you guys.
Thank you for the invite.
So much.
Okay. That was the 10th Bevy meetup. Super excited about the lineup again. We already have speakers for the next one, but I want to still use the opportunity to ask everyone in chat, if you know a topic, if you know a potential speaker that you would like to see here and present, because they're working on something super cool. So please reach out to me, or please encourage them to reach out to me as well. And please join the YouTube, stay up to date, join the meetup group so that you don't miss an upcoming meetup as well. Thank you so much for being here, and have a good rest of the day.